Looks like we are live. How's it going, everybody? Happy Friday. This is our Friday live stream. Carbon Diet Coach. We are answering your questions about the app, fitness, nutrition, anything like that. We got a few people coming in here on Instagram, a few people coming from YouTube. So we're going to get started here in a few minutes. Just if you guys have questions for me about the app, put them either in the comments or a question box thing on Instagram. Drop them in the comments on YouTube or Facebook, and I will get to answering those. The topic is whatever you guys want to talk about. I mean, there are plenty of questions you guys have that I can usually just talk the whole time about your questions. But if there's a specific topic you want me to cover in this live, let me know in the comments. But a little bit about myself. I'm a co-founder here at Carbon Diet Coach. I'm a registered dietitian, natural bodybuilder, and just overall enjoy this fitness thing. So that's a little bit about me. And let's see, I got a few questions here already. So we have one on Instagram. Okay, so this is about reverse dieting. How long do you stay on a reverse diet? The length of a reverse diet is going to be different for everybody. And I think what dictates that is really how much you want to push it in terms of maintenance calories and gaining weight. So the higher you want to try and push your maintenance calories, the more likely you are to gain weight and body fat. So that's kind of a preference thing. But typically, I would say the length that you diet. So let's say you have a normal metabolism before you start dieting. You diet a certain amount of time. Your metabolism gets suppressed. Typically, you want to reverse diet for almost about the same amount of time that you dieted for, and that will help you optimize your metabolism. Usually, I mean, you don't have to reverse for the same amount of time, but that's like a good rule of thumb, I think, is to assume that you need to reverse diet for about that long, because it does take a little bit of time for your metabolism to adapt and your body to adapt to your calorie intake. So just jumping right away back up to what used to be your maintenance calories right after a diet is usually a bad idea, because you're going to gain a lot of body fat in the process, because your pre-diet maintenance and your post-diet maintenance are going to be two separate values. So your post-diet maintenance is going to be a lot lower than your pre-diet maintenance. And that's where a lot of people get mixed up. You know, they try to jump all the way back up to where their maintenance was before they dieted. And that's usually a mistake, and you can add a ton of body fat that way. Great question. How do I feel about intermittent fasting? I think it's a great strategy, a great tool to have in your tool belt. If you are the type of person that, let's say you don't like to eat breakfast, you know, and you would rather hold off on eating breakfast, and by doing that, you're able to stick to your overall calories a lot more easily. I think intermittent fasting is great for you in that scenario. In terms of like, will it provide you better progress or not? I would say no. Intermittent fasting, when you control for macros and you compare like intermittent fasting versus just a normal diet spread out throughout the day, there is going to be really no difference in body fat loss. So pick whatever fits your lifestyle best. If you're like I said, if you're the type of person that doesn't like to eat in the morning, maybe intermittent fasting can work for you. But it's a tool in the tool belt, and it can definitely work. Great questions. All right, so let's see. I got a few on YouTube here that I should answer first. Okay. YouTube, I've been dieting for 5 weeks and have had 4 compliant check-ins, and weight is going down at a consistent rate. I'm very happy about my results. Love Carbon, and enjoy, and everyone on the team. Thanks. Oh, thank you, Heather. I thought that was a question, but I appreciate it. You might have a question here. Let's see. Okay, my question is, since I've been compliant for 4 check-ins and plan to keep being compliant, does the app know my maintenance calories? when I switch over for a diet break? Yes. So if you have 4 compliant check-ins in a row, the app is going to have a pretty good idea of where your current metabolism is at. So you are safe to use your current metabolism if you were to change your goal over to maintenance to do a diet break, for example. So when you change your goal very frequently and without letting the app build up your maintenance calories, that can be where you run into issues. Like, because if you, let's say you have 1 week, you just started the app, you lose a ton of weight. Really, all the app has in terms of data to look at to estimate your maintenance is that 1 week's check-in. And just doing that, it's very volatile, and it could think that your maintenance calories are through the roof because you lost a ton of weight. But in all reality, your maintenance calories are not going to be that high. So if you lose a ton of weight in your first week, then go and switch your setting and use your current estimated maintenance, it's going to throw the app completely off. So I don't recommend doing that. Like I said, the more compliant check-ins you have, the better in terms of switching your goals, because it's going to use your estimated maintenance, and that estimated maintenance is actually going to be accurate. So if you don't have 4 compliant check-ins, I would probably just have the app calculate new, just because it's probably has a better idea with the formula as opposed to using that 1 week of data. So hopefully that makes sense. Stacy, hey, what's up? Hey, coach. Let's see here. Is it optimal for hypertrophy to hit each body part 3 times per week? I don't know the specific answer to this. I think it mostly comes down to overall training volume, and however you split it up during the week, it has an effect. So like there will be a point of diminishing return. So if you train too frequently, you're not going to get enough training volume and stress in each individual session. But if you train too infrequently, you're going to have to do a ton of volume in a single session and likely like overwhelm your body's recovery capabilities. So three times per week, I think 2 to 3 times per week is probably the most optimal practically. Whether that leads to more hypertrophy over the long run, we don't really have those studies where it compares that over like an extended period of time. We just have more shorter term studies. So I would say 2 to 3 times per week, body part frequency, and you're going to be safe. Let's see. On Facebook, Amira is saying, currently using the app, the coach gave me higher calories than I usually get. I'm enjoying eating the calories, but not losing weight despite choosing weight loss. Will the coach change this eventually? Yeah, absolutely. So let the coach dial you in. It will take a few weeks for it to figure out where you need to be in terms of your macros to progress. So it sounds like, yes, it just started you a little bit higher than normal. But after your first month, it's not going to matter anyway, because the app is going to have you dialed in if you're consistent. So just keep using the app, keep checking in, and it will adjust eventually. And for now, enjoy the extra calories that you have because as you diet, they will be taken away, like most likely. All right, get back to Instagram here. Is there a way to account for calories expended due to exercise with the app? You don't have to, because the app makes up the difference in terms of what you're doing for your activity and your workouts. So it will figure out where you need to be eating to lose weight at the desired rate that you set based on all of your lifestyle factors, all of your activity, all of your exercise. So it does this by just adjusting until your weight is moving at the rate that it wants. So you don't have to account for any of the exercise calories or anything like that. The app is going to give you the desired outcome that you have set. So there's that. But let's say your activity level changes drastically in a single week. In that scenario, it might make sense to even create a new goal with a different activity level, because your activity level has changed significantly. So only in the scenario where your activity level changes significantly on a single week, I would create a new goal. Otherwise, I would roll with it, check in. The app is going to figure out where you need to be. And yeah, so hopefully that helps. Let's see here. Lots of great questions here, guys. Appreciate everybody that's tuning in. Got a good amount of people here. Let's see. Got quite a few questions. Let me see what I can find here. Is there a way to change your check-in day if you accidentally rest your coach? You probably mean reset your coach setting rather than the following week. So first of all, I very rarely recommend somebody resets the coach. That usually is a bad idea because it clears out all of your check-in history, all of your check-in data. Doesn't clear out your diary entries or anything like that because that's separate in the app, but it'll clear out everything regarding the coach. So you usually do not want to reset the coach, but you can easily change your check-in day anytime during the week. You go into your settings and then coach settings and then check-in day. And then you change that. And what the app will do is it will, depending on how many days until your next check-in, it will adjust it for you. So let's say, so you can't check in with less than 5 days in any check-in. So it depends on what day you change your check-in day to what day your check-in is, because it might push out, oh, maybe your next check-in is in 12 days instead of less. So it depends on what your current check-in day is and when you're changing it to. You can do that easily, like I said, in settings, coach settings, and check-in day. All right, let's get back to Facebook, YouTube. If you go over your protein, how much over is too much? So I would try to keep your protein within 5 to 10 grams on a daily basis. Overall, throughout the week, we allow, for compliance, we allow 2.5% above and below the set amount. That is what we consider compliant. So if you're consistently going over your protein, and notice the foods that you enjoy and the foods that you eat typically are higher in protein, you can always adjust your diet preference setting to match what your diet preference is. So if you prefer more protein, go to settings, diet preferences, and then there's sliders where you can adjust protein, carbs, and fats to fine tune it to what you actually like to eat. So, but if you're consistently finding yourself going over by more than 10 grams, I would adjust that setting for sure. Let's see. Is there a way to adjust, a way to edit quick add macros in the app without having to delete it altogether? Yeah, absolutely. So let's say you quick add it, it goes to your diary. In your diary, tap on that quick add item. It'll pull up a modal, and at the top there should be 3 dots in the upper right hand corner. And if you tap that, it'll say like edit or modify, or it should say edit or something like that. And you should be able to edit it from there. If not, you might have to delete it. I'm not 100% sure because I have a lot of things in my brain, but I don't specifically, I guess, know the answer to that. But you should be able to edit the quick add like that. Any meal planning features in the works? I have difficulty spreading macros evenly throughout the day. We don't have any specific stuff in the works right now in terms of meal planning. It's definitely something we want to work towards in the future. But if you're struggling to spread macros evenly throughout the day, I mean, it just comes down to more planning. It's very easy to figure out what your macro targets should be in each meal, and now you just need to sit down and figure out what meals reach those targets. So you're going to have to just put foods in, adjust the serving sizes until you figure out the meals that reach that target each day. So it's going to take definitely some effort, but I think it'll be worth it. And once you figure out, okay, this meal is roughly these macros, then you have a bunch of go-to meals that you can go to each day if you're wondering what to eat. So definitely, like I said, in the future, we want to add some more meal planning things, but right now, that's the way you got to do it. Yeah, there's a preference to change the meals as well. So you can change from 3 meals to 6 meals, 5 meals, whatever you want. And you can also rename the meals. You can disable meals if you want to. If you want to disable it, you don't want to completely delete that meal, because if you delete the meal, it's going to delete those entries that were in the past. So you can just disable it if you don't want to see it right now. Let's see. Get back to here on YouTube, Facebook. Hard time consuming protein. What are your favorite sources of protein? I think everybody starting out, when they first start out tracking macros and realizing that protein is important, they always tend to be very far under their recommended amount of protein. That's just because most foods that we eat just generally are lower in protein, unless you're very in tune with protein foods and making sure that you are like consciously making decisions that you know are going to give you higher protein. If you don't do that, you're going to more likely than not end up low on protein each day. So it's going to take some planning and making sure that every single one of your meals has protein in it. I would never let a meal go by that you eat low protein. So make sure that you take your protein target and divide it evenly between all the meals that you're going to eat per day. And then make sure you hit that meal protein target each time, because protein is really important. But in terms of what are my favorite sources, I would say I really enjoy eggs, egg whites, fat-free cheese. I enjoy Greek yogurt, protein powder, tuna, chicken, lean ground beef, lean turkey, steaks. Let's see. Yeah, I would say those are my main go-tos for protein. So hopefully that helps. 1 gram per pound of protein. It depends. If you're obese, 1 gram per pound is not a good idea, because you're going to be over-consuming on protein. Not that over-consuming on protein is necessarily unhealthy, but you're going to be, it's pretty wasteful with that protein. So 1 gram per pound it's just a general figure to get people in the ballpark of where they might need to be. I think a better, if you aren't using carbon and you just want a quick number, you could just do 1 gram per pound of lean body mass, and that might be a much more accurate number to go with, because like I said, if you're obese and you go 1 gram per pound, you're going to be eating a lot of protein. So that's a general figure, but if you want an app to do it all for you and tell you exactly what you should have for protein, I would definitely recommend signing up for Carbon Diet Coach. Let's see. Enter body fat into carbon if it comes from the scale, or no, because inaccurate. I would say if you consistently use that scale and test your body fat, then I would enter it into carbon. If it was just like a one-off body fat test where you just stepped on a scale, I wouldn't necessarily enter it, just because it's not going to help too much. But the more you enter your body fat into the app, and the more you use the same method, same conditions, the better off it's going to be. So I would, yeah, like I said, use it if it's every single day or something like that, and then enter it into the app. If I hit the calorie goal on carbon, but not the macro goal, am I being compliant? If you have, so I would say no, but if you have macro calories enabled and you hit the calories, I think you're going to be a lot better off than having the label calories and just hitting calories, because you're going to be eating a wide range of actual calories, because labels aren't going to necessarily be 100% accurate with the calories that you're consuming. So If you want to go the calorie approach and just start there, that's fine. But I would make sure macro calories are enabled, and then you're going to want to build on that and work towards hitting your macro targets, because that's going to give you more results, especially if you're hitting the protein. So protein is very important. And if you're just hitting calories, and let's say you have a really low protein diet, by just hitting calories, you're not going to get the same results as if you were hitting calories and hitting your protein. So it's kind of like a step approach where you know, good, better, best, that kind of thing, where calories, yeah, if you can make sure you're eating the right amount of calories every day, that's good. Better would be to figure out, you know, I'm eating the right amount of calories and I'm eating the right amount of protein for my goals and my body. Best would be obviously hitting all of those macros, hitting your protein, carbs, and fats. And then you don't necessarily, if you hit your protein, carbs, and fats, you don't necessarily even need to worry about where calories fall, because if you're hitting those macros, you're hitting the right amount of calories by default. So I always encourage people to work towards being able to hit macro targets, and that should be the more goal if you really want to make sure you're not leaving any stone unturned. Great question. All right. Okay. Hi, Keith. I'm new to Carbon and was just wondering if there's a feature to just manually enter consumed macros for the entire day, still adjusting and using another app to track while I transition. Okay. So you don't have to. A lot of people think they have to put in what they ate into Carbon's tracker for the coach to work properly. You don't have to, because they're two separate things. We completely disconnected the two. So the coach doesn't like look at your food tracker and say, oh, you tracked this many calories, so that we're assuming you ate that many calories. It doesn't do that. We don't do that for very specific reasons, like, you know, if somebody forgets to track something, could be completely inaccurate data that the coach would then be using. So we want people to confirm when they check in that they actually ate the targets that we recommended. But if you do want to just put it in there, I guess, if you really feel like entering in the entire day macros that you consumed into Carbon, you can just quick add it. You can just tap on the three dots next to the plus button, and there should be a quick add. And just on meal one, just tap that. There should be a quick add. Tap that, just type in the macros that you consumed, and then track it, and then it'll put it in for your day. But like I said, you don't have to, but you can. All right. Been using Carbon now for 8 weeks. Only had 3 kilogram with 1 kilogram to my goal weight, but happy where I am now. Better to go to maintenance or reverse diet. So Joe, I would say, hold on, I only had 3. So if you're happy where you're at now, you have to consider, are you happy with your current maintenance calories as well? If you are happy with your current maintenance calories, then you can go with the maintain your weight setting. If you go with the maintain your weight setting, it's going to basically keep you at your current estimated maintenance and adjust that to keep you maintaining your weight. So you're not going to necessarily increase your metabolic rate going with the maintenance setting. If you are not happy with your current maintenance calories, then reverse dieting is going to be the way to go. You only dieted for 8 weeks, but there's still going to be some metabolic adaptation in 8 weeks. So you can use the reverse diet setting to try to bump up your maintenance calories a little bit and normalize that, and then maybe go to maintenance. But since it was a short diet, you don't necessarily have to reverse diet for very long. I would say maybe try reverse dieting for like a month, see how things go, and then reassess at that point if you are happy with your current estimated maintenance or if you want to keep trying to push it up. So that's what I recommend, Joe. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You are welcome. All right. Hello, loving the app. I'm doing fat loss with Carbon Coach. However, I feel like my protein is very low. Can I adjust my protein I just don't want to lose my, not sure what the rest says, but you can adjust your protein without changing anything with the coach. So you can change your diet preference setting, and that doesn't do anything like reset the coach or change your goal or anything like that. You can do that at any point in settings. So go to settings, diet preferences, and then just take that protein slider and move it to what you like consuming, and then hit save, and you're good to go. It doesn't change anything about your current check-in or anything like that. So that's what I'd recommend if you feel like the protein's too low for your preference. Why doesn't the app take into account height? Because the formula that we use for determining your starting macros and calories does not need height. It uses body fat, and it doesn't need height for that. So that's why we don't take into account height. A lot of times when apps ask you for your height, they're using a formula like Mifflin St. Jour, or what are the other ones? I'm drawing a blank, but the other formulas typically need height. Height doesn't actually necessarily contribute to your metabolic rate. It's more body surface area. So typically people that are taller have more body surface area, and that's why they need more calories. So it's not necessarily a height thing. It's just, when you're taller, you usually have more body mass. You are more of a bigger person. So that's why the height and metabolic rate typically go up together, but it doesn't necessarily directly improve your metabolism or anything like that. So what we use is we use a different formula that takes into account body fat, lean body mass, and those types of things, and then figures out where you need to be for your macros. So, and our formula is also, it's built on a formula, but then it's also proprietary, and we added more to it to make sure that it gives you the best possible starting place. Dang, Erwin, that's crazy. Great app, using it almost for a week, and tomorrow is my first check-in, but lost 1.2 kilograms. Goal was 0.5 per week. That's amazing. That's great work. Hopefully the weight loss keeps up. My guess is what's going to happen is it's going to bump up your calories just a little bit. And so on the first week, we do allow a larger weight loss. So there is a bigger tolerance before the coach is going to adjust your macros, just because your first week, you're going to lose more weight typically, and that's going to be in the form of water. So, but you are more than double your weight loss rate. So in that case, it is going to make a slight increase to your macros, and hopefully you enjoy the new macros. Just keep up the great work and the consistency, and the coach will get you to where you want to be in the future. If I've been maintaining for over 6 months, is reverse the way to go to try to increase maintenance calories? So if you've been maintaining at a low maintenance level for your body, and like what would likely be your maintenance calories, like if you are maintaining on that low amount, you can still reverse diet. You don't have to be coming out of a fat loss phase to do a reverse diet, but typically that's the usual scenario, is you're going to be dieting, then you're going to go into a reverse diet to try to undo those negative metabolic adaptations. But you can still reverse if you've been maintaining for over 6 months. Let's say you're maintaining eating, you're a woman, you're maintaining eating 1,200 calories a day. You're going to want to try to reverse diet to bump that up. So it all depends on where you're maintaining for your body and how likely you are to be able to increase that. Hope to, because we want to eat more. Yeah, of course, we all want to eat more and lose weight. So yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. So enjoy it. All right. So how many grams of protein per pound is 1 gram good? I answered this a little bit earlier, but 1 gram per pound is like a general figure that people throw out there. But if you're obese, that's not a good number to go with. I would much rather go with like 1 gram per pound of lean body mass, or 1 gram per pound of your goal weight or something like that. That's just going to be a little bit more accurate based on your body. But if you're using carbon, it can do all this for you and tell you how much protein you need to eat. Erica is maintaining on 1,750 calories and she's hungry. It depends on your stats. So like if 1750 might be low for you, I don't know. It just depends on your weight and that kind of thing. So but for most women, 1,750 calories is not low. I would say it's not low at all if you're a woman, average weight. But if you have a little bit more weight, maybe 1,750 is low. So it just depends on your body and your stats right now. OMG, Erica is so lucky. Yeah, Erica, most women that I've worked with directly they're not going to be able to. Well, I would say 1,750 is probably an average maintenance calories. There's some women that can diet on that, which is amazing. But most women, if they want to diet, they typically have to diet on much lower than that. 1,750, yeah, I would say that's average. $57. I don't know if is that 57 kilograms? Is that 57 age? Erica, can you clarify, please? How can I start using the app program? Your first step is going to go to the App Store. So if you have a iOS device, go to the App Store, search for Carbon Diet Coach, download the app. It will prompt you to subscribe. So it isn't a free service, but it's very cheap, $9.99 a month. And the coach will figure out where you need to be eating for macros and adjust that each week. So if you're on Android, go to Google Play. We also have an Android app. So yeah, you just download the app from the App Store, and then it'll guide you on how to subscribe, how to set up a goal. And then I highly recommend requesting to join the Facebook group. So the Facebook group is super helpful, and there'll be a ton of answers to any question you really have in that group. Really awesome feature is to use the search bar in the Facebook group, because literally there are questions that get asked every single day, and there are like 5,000 answers to those questions. So that is a sweet feature you can use. Is it the same as MyFitnessPal? No, absolutely not. So we're in like a different category, I would say, than MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal is a food tracking app. Our app is a nutrition coaching app that has a food tracker. So there's a distinction there. And we have the food tracker, so many of the features that you use in MyFitnessPal are going to be familiar with you if you use Carbon. But the main goal of the app is to use the coach. So the coach will set you up with initial goals and macro targets that you need to aim to hit each week. And then every single week you check into the coach, and it analyzes the progress that you're making, the goal that you have set, and figures out if it needs to make any adjustments to your diet. And that's something that MyFitnessPal doesn't do. MyFitnessPal sets you up on like an initial calorie plan, and then says, see you later, and doesn't give you any guidance after that. Our app guides you each week as you check in and figures out where you need to be eating to actually make progress. So I would say there's a huge difference between our app and MyFitnessPal. Timberlake, please answer my question. I don't know, where's your question? Let's see. There's so many questions. I'd like to use this app for my contest prep. How can I add cardio to my plan? So you just need to add the cardio, and then the coach is going to make up the difference in terms of where your macros need to be. So start your prep out with a certain amount of cardio that you want to start with, and then the coach will figure out where you need to be with macros. If you find that the macros that you're on, you feel like they're too low and you would rather offset that by doing a little bit more cardio, just add in more cardio and keep checking into the coach, and it's going to figure out what difference you can have, how many more calories you can have to still make progress that you want. So just add in the cardio, and then the coach will do its thing on the other side. And a lot of people think that's, a lot of people are like, why don't you have exercise tracking in the app or that kind of thing? A lot of that comes down to inaccuracies in a lot of these devices that are used to count calories burned and those types of things. They're very, very inaccurate. And so we don't want to do anything with that would introduce a variable that would cause you to not make the progress that you want. So we thought about all of this stuff, and from the outside, yeah, you think, oh, there should be some kind of component like that in here. But we tried to come up with a system that pretty foolproof, and like if you follow the coach's guidance, you are going to make the progress that you want. So that's why we don't really include the exercise thing. How inaccurate are actual chest strap heart rate monitors? So a heart rate monitor is going to be pretty accurate because it's testing your heart rate. But if it then spits out, you burned this many calories each day, that number is what's going to be pretty inaccurate, because everybody's going to be different. You can't just look at, this is my heart rate, this is my age, and these are my stats, so this is how many calories I burned. That's not going to work out, and it doesn't translate into that. And I've seen a huge range of calories burned. Like, some people are very adaptive in that they they do some cardio and they burn very few calories. So your body becomes more efficient at doing cardiovascular exercise, and in this efficiency, it burns fewer and fewer calories. So if you're really adapted to cardio, you're going to burn a lot less calories than somebody that isn't necessarily as adapted to that cardio. So that's why, like, as a coach, I like to use cardio as more of a tool for fat loss. So when somebody isn't dieting and focusing on losing body fat and losing weight, I want to reduce the cardio as much as possible. And depending on their lifestyle, I might keep in some for just general overall health. But I really like to use cardio as more of a tool for fat loss, because if you take it out when you're reverse dieting and then you introduce it back in when you go to a diet, that's going to be a new stimulus for your body. Your body's not going to be as adapted to that cardio. So you're likely going to burn more calories from that cardio to start. So it's usually good to cycle out your cardio when you aren't in a body fat loss stage. Do I need to count my exercise calories on the app? Nope. A lot of people asking about the exercise trackers and that type of thing. No, we don't have any integrations with those, and we don't plan on integrating with anything that spits out calories burned, because they're very inaccurate. We might integrate something with like step count in the future, just because it's more of a accurate number, and then we can use that on our end to figure things out. But I don't want any data to come in that's going to be that inaccurate, like a tracker, exercise tracker. All right. How long to stick to a gain phase to notice significant change? So depends what change you're looking for. If you're just looking to gain weight, you should be seeing weight gain on a weekly basis if you're using the gain setting. If you're looking to see muscle increase, that's another story. And it's kind of out of our hands as Carbon, because we don't dictate your workout program, and the workout program is what's going to really give your body that stimulus to add muscle. So if you're using a suboptimal workout program and not pushing yourself in the gym, you're probably just going to be gaining body fat on the gain setting. If, let's say, you have your training in order, you're doing a good training program, really pushing yourself, making sure you're maximizing training volume, more of that weight you're gaining each week in Carbon is going to be from lean body mass. So that's why we don't say muscle gain setting in the app, because Carbon can't dictate you're going to be building muscle or not, because when you gain weight, the weight is going to be dictated on your training and that type of thing. So yeah, but significant changes in muscle mass are going to take a while. And depending on how trained you are, it could take a very long time. Like I've been training for like 12 years now, maybe 11, 12 years now. And for me to gain a pound of muscle in a year, I would be happy. So it's It just depends on your experience level. And I think, Levi, I think you're pretty experienced in the gym, so it's going to take a while to add more lean body mass. So just that's why longer phases of trying to build muscle is usually better, because if you're cycling calories so much doing fat loss gain in a very short period of time, you're likely just going to be spinning your wheels. You really want to focus on the trying to gain muscle for a longer period of time if you are natural. Are you going to be adding a snack section? You can add that yourself. So if you go to settings and then I think it's customize meals is what the name is in settings. Tap that. You can add as many sections that you want in the app, and you can even rename them. So you can, if you don't like breakfast, you could change it to meal 1. Like I'd name my meal 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have it like breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. So you can add a snack section if you want and rename it. All right. So do you have a guide on how to get the best use of the coach? As I don't think I'm using all of its features listening to you today. So Amira, I would highly recommend going to our website. We have a help section where there are a ton of videos that I filmed, that Lane and Holly filmed, to help you understand the app, understand the concepts, and all the features as well. So go to joincarbon.com/help, and there'll be a ton of videos there. Also, if you follow the Carbon Diet Coach page on Instagram, we have videos there as well showing some of the features, highlighting the features, how to use the app, and also the Facebook group. So I see you're on Facebook. Request to join. If you're not in our Carbon Diet Coach Facebook page group, you're going to want to join that, because there are a ton of amazing people in that group, and you learn so much by just scrolling through the posts. You learn about new features, you learn about how to use the app, mindset stuff. So I highly recommend joining our Facebook group as well. All right. Appreciate all the questions today. You guys are awesome. Still got quite a few people watching, which is great. Let's see here. Do you track 100% of your meals? I know some people have one untracked meal per week as long as it's X calories. Wondering if you got cut off. But so people do like mental gymnastics stuff to like justify certain eating or whatever they want. I mean, that's all on them. If you feel like you want to do one untracked meal and have these guidelines around it's this many calories, well, then you might as well track, because you're figuring out the calories. Like how do you, if you're not tracking it, how do you know it's within those calories? So I typically don't like this type of approach at all. I recommend, ideally, you're going to be tracking everything if your goal is important to you. That doesn't mean you have to track for the rest of your life or anything like that. But if your goal is important to you, you should be tracking all of the food you're taking into your body, because otherwise you're leaving stuff on the table. And I get it. Some people mentally they like the break, but maybe instead of that, maybe try using the calorie planner and setting high and low days and giving yourself more calories on the weekends so that you can fit more food in. I think tracking, though, is an important thing if your goals are important to you. So if your goals aren't necessarily super important to you and you really value going out and having a good time and eating without worrying about what you're tracking or what you're eating, that's fine too. It's up to you and your goals. But I like to make the conscious choice of okay, I'm going to work towards this goal and I'm going to do what I need to reach that goal. And then there's sometimes when I don't feel like tracking at all, and then I just kind of take a step back from using the app. I eat intuitively and I still kind of eat within where I think I should be, but I'm also okay with gaining a little bit of weight because I want to take that mental break. So I think you have to make the conscious choice. if you're doing like a cheat meal week or anything like that, I wouldn't say you're compliant with the app, and you're not going to necessarily get the progress that you want. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. The part that was cut off was eating a handful of grapes. So like, what's stopping you from tracking that? Like, why would you not just track the handful of grapes and fit it into your macros? That's what I don't understand. All right. Any plans to auto update the planner to reflect calories consumed each day? That's tough because some people would like it to automatically change and adjust the rest of the week, while other people would hate that feature, and they would want to choose how they would have those macros distributed. So it's tough. I see the benefit on both sides, but we would have to figure out a way to not alienate either side of members. So it's tough, but right now there aren't any plans for the auto updating in the planner. We think you consciously planning and adjusting that yourself is usually a better, instead of you're taking a proactive approach to dieting as opposed to taking a reactive approach and waiting until you slip up and eat more calories and then adjust. Like, if you take a proactive approach and think, okay, what does my week look like? Well, Wednesday, I'm going out to dinner with a friend, so maybe it makes sense to have a higher calorie day that day, just so I don't have to stress about it, and I can make sure I fit my macros more easily. That is taking a proactive approach. You're looking ahead, you're thinking about what is going to help you stay on track the best, and then you adjust your planner to match that. So always try to be proactive as opposed to reactive. All right. Gyms are closed. Would you recommend lowering activity level? I hope you mean in the app and not your activity level. If gyms are closed, I would recommend you try to be more active in other ways. But I'm assuming you're referring to changing your activity level setting in the app. It depends on how much you are training and then how much you are active right now. If it's a big decrease, I would probably create a new goal and then and then have it reflect your new activity level, because that's like a significant change in your current state. So I would create a new goal if you are experiencing that. Is 10 to 12,000 steps considered moderate? I would say probably on the high end. Most people are a lot less than 10 to 12,000 steps a day. I think if you're getting 10 to 12,000 steps a day, that's a really good amount. Like for me, I wish I was getting that much, but you guys would be shocked. But I get some days I get less than like 1,000 steps a day. So I'm like very inaccurate because I sit at a computer all day and work. But if I'm lucky, I would say I'm like maybe 6,000 steps a day. So I really need to work on being more active, but it's just tough with my job. And what that does is that doesn't allow me to eat as many calories. It's going to just offset that, where I have to eat lower calories to progress at the rate that I want. So it's a trade-off. I could be more active, but then I would have to spend more time being more active, and that isn't necessarily something that I have, right now. So 10 to 12,000 steps, though, I think that's a really good amount, and I would keep it up if you can. I have 15 pounds to lose, and the app recommended I start at 1240 calories. Feel this is super low. I mean, if you put in accurate information, that isn't going to be too low, and so I would just roll with it. Let the app do what it needs to do. The amount of weight that you need to lose doesn't necessarily dictate your starting calories. The amount of weight you need to lose is going to dictate how long you need to diet. So your starting calories are going to be dictated based on your current body and your stats, your activity level, lean body mass, those types of things. So make sure you put in accurate information into the app, and then just go with it. And the app will adjust. So let's say you lose a ton of weight, the app is going to bump your calories up. it's going to find what you need to eat. So I would trust it, trust the process, and keep checking into the coach. All right. Yes. Somebody's question is yes. I'm not sure what that refers to. Can I be compliant if I hit my calories only on fat loss? I would say no, but hitting your calories is a great first step. Now take it a step further and try to hit calories and protein. If you hit calories and protein and you're using the macro calories feature in the app, I would say you could mark compliant. But if you are not doing that, then I would say it's better to mark non-compliant and keep trying to hit your macros. Do you recommend creatine during a weight loss phase? It depends. If you're the type of person that is very worried about your scale weight. Hold on, I need to shut my blind. All right. If you're the type of person that is really worried about scale weight and you are not taking creatine currently, I wouldn't start taking creatine on a cut, because when you take creatine and you haven't taken it before, you're going to gain a little bit of water weight, and that water is going to be inside of your muscle cells. So your muscles are going to be more hydrated, and that can cause the scale to go up. And women especially get very concerned with the scale going up, more so than men. So I would say if you are not taking creatine and the scale, you're very tied to the number on the scale, don't take creatine during a cut. But if you're taking it already and then you go into a cut, I think creatine is very beneficial in terms of helping you maximize the muscle that you're going to retain as you diet. And I would keep taking it. So yeah, it depends. But more often than not, I would say yes, you're going to want to take creatine at all times. If your goal is to increase strength, increase muscle mass, creatine is going to help with that. So hopefully that helps. Will the app recommend diet breaks? No, it will not. I'm still going over my protein. It's already maxed out. Is that bad? I already maxed out. I would say if it's already maxed out, that's a high amount of protein. I think you should really use those calories towards carbs and fats. Yeah, like trying to go above the recommended amount that we have in the diet preference setting, I wouldn't do it. It's not like it's going to be harmful for you necessarily, because protein intakes of like 4 grams per kilogram have been studied and shown to be safe if you're healthy. So I wouldn't worry about that. But like those calories are much better served to be put towards carbs and fats. Like, and I don't know why you wouldn't, because like carbs and fats typically are the very satiating type foods, or not necessarily satiating, but they're very palatable foods. Sugar, fat, like peanut butter. Just eat peanut butter. I mean, it's amazing. So like I would shift those calories over to carbs and fats personally. Thoughts on the Whoop band? I have no thoughts about it. I don't know much about it. Join Carbon Diet Coach, struggling big time, not logging in or losing weight. Well, yeah, if you're not logging in, it's going to be hard to lose weight, because the app is, you need to use it properly to be able to make the progress that you want. So it sounds like you are new to tracking and that type of thing, and you're struggling to weigh food. So first, purchase a food scale, and then take the foods that you are eating, put them on the scale, look at the weight, take the app, search for the food, enter in the weight that you ate, track it. Don't worry about necessarily hitting your targets right off the bat. If you're new to tracking, just get used to the skill of tracking and just putting in your foods in the app. and after a few weeks of you just putting in the foods, weighing foods, you're going to be more comfortable, and then you can work towards, okay, maybe I make sure I hit my calories, then calories and protein, then make sure I hit all 3 macros. Like, it's going to be a stepwise thing. It's not like you're going to be able to just jump in without any experience and be amazing at this. Like, so I would give it time and just be patient, and hopefully that helps. And then I highly recommend joining the Facebook group because there's a ton of helpful people there that can give you tips on tracking and that type of thing. Never hit my protein. Any tips? Make sure that you are eating high protein foods. So figure out what foods are high in protein and then eat more of those every day. Don't let a meal go by that is low in protein. So make sure you have a high protein, a high quality source in every single meal that you eat per day. I would look at what do you need for the whole day, then divide that evenly by how many meals you prefer to eat every day. And then you have like a meal protein target that you can aim to hit each day and each meal. That makes it a little easier. Like, I give myself like a 40-gram protein meal target, and then I aim to hit that in each one of my meals. And then that makes sure that I hit my overall protein goal by the end of the day. So it's just a process that you need to be constantly aware of. And then over time, it'll just become second nature. You'll be so used to it that you already know what foods are high in protein. You can just look at foods and estimate, okay, this is this much protein. Like, you're going to gain those skills as you do this. So just stick with it for the long haul, and it'll work out. All right, I'm going to take one more question, and then my time is going to be up here. Let's see. One more good question. Any more questions, guys? Let's see. When you don't diet for months and start eating whatever you want, and all of a sudden you start a diet, do you think it's better to do a fat loss or reverse diet first? So if you are on the YOLO diet, where you just are eating whatever, or the seafood diet, you see food and you eat it, then I would say definitely start with a fat loss phase. It's very unlikely that your metabolism is slow if you're just eating ad libitum. So you're going to be eating plenty of calories if you're not tracking. And so your current maintenance calories are likely fine, and you can start off with a fat loss phase. So if that's your main goal, like if your main goal is fat loss, try a fat loss first and prove to yourself that you have a slow metabolism. Instead of just saying you have a slow metabolism, make sure that you actually have a slow metabolism. And then if you figure out, okay, my metabolism is slow, then you can reverse diet and work on building up your metabolism. But I think a lot of people try to put off the diet because they tell themselves they have a slow metabolism, and then reverse diet forever and never really make that weight loss progress that they want. So be honest with yourself and don't try to put off the diet. If your goal is weight loss, try it and see what happens. The app is going to be smart and adjust, figure out where you need to eat to lose weight at the desired rate. So let it do that, and then see, oh, is this too low for me? Can I sustain this amount for X amount of time? Because then that'll get me to my goal. You need to do that and figure that out. And then if that's not the case, then you can reverse diet. But I would try fat loss first for sure. All right, guys, appreciate everybody tuning in. You guys are the best. You asked a lot of great questions this week. We do live streams every single Friday. It's either Lane or Holly next week Friday, so be sure to tune in. Every Friday we do them usually in the afternoon. Let's see. Actually, no, I'm next Friday as well. So you will be seeing my face next Friday. Be sure to ask great questions next week and tune in. Again, I appreciate everybody tuning in. I hope everybody has a great Friday and weekend, and we will catch you later.